Thank you to Surf Prep and our patrons for sponsoring this episode. As always, I'll give a shout out to our top tier patrons at the end of the episode. He's the guy that can take an average desk and make it as complicated as possible, adding nooks and crannies that make an English muffin look like pancakes. His furry feline helper Lola secretly gets more likes on Instagram than he does. But he's okay with that because this cat king is dominating on YouTube. The man who coined the term Total Boat Baby is here, Mr. Keith Johnson. Welcome to the lounge.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Total Boat Baby.
See, I'm ready to go.
There it is. My tagline.
Yeah. You wondering how I snagged that from the internets?
Yes. I guess it's fair use. So
you need royalties?
No, I guess it's under 5 seconds. I'll allow it.
Before we get to the episode today, I want to thank our sponsor, Surf Prep Sanding. Whether you're looking for the highest quality of sanders, dust extractors, or abrasives, Surf Prep has what you need to take your project to the next level. I've been using Surf Prep for a couple of years now and know firsthand the quality of their products. The amazing family who stands behind their brand is by far the best in the industry. Use code MAKERLOUNGE, all one word, for 10% off your order at surfprepsanding.com.
So, how's it going?
It's going well. I've just been nonstop busy since September, so haven't really had a chance to breathe.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's
Right.
how I like it. Otherwise, sometimes grass will grow under my feet if I'm left to sit for too long.
Yeah, you got a lot going on.
Yeah.
I mean, you're working the woodworking stuff. You got the podcast. You've been doing some travel, looks like, lately.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and the editing, obviously, editing all the content.
Are you editing the podcast as well, or do you have somebody?
I am now. We still may hand it off. I just kind of was working through the bugs of how to get it done, and now I think I've settled on a system that's much faster. But as you know, we have the video feed that has to be put on YouTube, and then I have to break out the main show and the after show and put in the intro and the outro and any beeps because we try to keep it clean over there.
Yeah.
And so, it's not difficult. It's just can be a process and just take time. So, but I think I've got a system now. So moving forward, I'll probably just continue the edit and keep it in house.
Yeah, you guys used to be a trio, and I guess Nick has moved on to something else. And
right, yeah. I mean, he just got pretty much burnt out with trying to balance social media and the podcast and work, and he had taken on kind of a new position at work with more responsibility and. Yeah, it's a lot, and I get it. I mean, for all of us, sometimes you just need a break from social media. It's overwhelming, and the mental aspect of it, where all the comments mostly are nice, but then there's the trolls that get under your skin, and everything else, and the pressure of posting all the time.
Right.
I kind of dismissed that a long time ago. I just post if I have something.
Yeah. Yeah, for a long time, I was doing, it was 365 days, and I was posting 365 times, and I did see a lot of growth in that time, but it does take a toll on you. Going to bed that night thinking, oh, shoot, I'm not prepped for tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
And at this point, since they dropped the Reels bonuses on Facebook and Instagram, it's difficult to find motivation because, a lot of people just post to post, like, content, and for me, like, each video is generally a process video, and it takes me a long time to edit something like that, and to just throw it up there and for real no gain, I don't know. Yeah, I'd rather spend my time editing the YouTube video or working on other things than, but if I specifically film something to make a reel and I edit it, I'm absolutely going to post it. I'm going to post it everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever these other platforms. I'm sure there's new ones out there that I don't even know about.
Yeah.
There's got to be something.
Better get
Vero.
Vero. Did that ever take off?
I think in their own mind it did. I remember when it first came out, and they made it seem like it was all exclusive, like there's only 1 million spots open. So I got one. I opened up 2 slots, and it went nowhere and died. And then it seemed like there was a bit of a resurgence last year, but again, fell flat on its face.
Yeah, it's like the McRib. They try to talk up the
limited
McRib.
release.
Yeah, nobody's getting the McRib.
They always say like backed by popular demand, but
Yeah.
it's really not.
They had some processed meat that had to package as a McRib.
Yeah, we had all this left over, so we got to find a way to revitalize. Get the marketing team on it.
All those returned hamburgers.
Oh, man, yeah. We'll throw them in the blender and mash them into a preformed Flintstone rib-looking thing.
They're frozen. I'm sure they're safe.
Yeah, they're preserved. Oh, believe me, like Twinkies, right? They'll last through a nuclear winter.
Yeah. So, posting every day and trying to get all that content out there. Your posts, like you said, are process posts. And it's so you're not, I'm sure you're sprinkling in, the random glue bottle squeeze out, kind of thing. But for the most part, a lot of your stuff is, you can tell that you put a lot of effort into it. And you're doing graphics and stuff like that too. Mm-hmm. Is that like, I guess, is it for the numbers? Do numbers matter? Or what's the driving factor?
A lot of times sponsors are the driving factor. Yeah. For the last couple of years, I was sponsored by Pony Jorgensen, and there was a certain number of posts that were required. I work with Total Boat, and I've done some stuff for Festool. So, and Doug Mockett. So a lot of my posts are sponsor driven. Mm-hmm. And, before I went full time with this and I had a regular full time job, I would woodwork on the weekends. I would spend all weekend filming and building. And then each night during the week, I would edit a different video to post the next day on Instagram. And back then it was a game. It was like, how many followers can I get? Kind of like my own little competition. I'd pick somebody who had more followers than me and see if I could catch them and then catch the next person. Mm-hmm. Just fun competition to kind of keep things going. But, it was because you wanted to get recognized by sponsors. And now it's, the numbers really, it's great. I have big numbers on all these platforms. It's helpful, but the meaningful platform for me right now is YouTube. Right. And it's not even about growing my subscriber. Obviously you want to grow your subscribers, but I want views. Sponsors are looking at views and, your average views maybe in your last 10 videos. Like there are people that have 30,000 subs and make a very good living because they have a dedicated audience and they can get views. Whereas I know some people that have 600,000-700,000 subs and they can't get 20,000, 30,000 views per video. Right. So why that is, I don't know. And that's why, I don't know how deep you want to get into this, but like that's why I stopped posting shorts on YouTube. It was destroying my audience demographics. Because number one, people I think who are there to watch short form content aren't there to watch long form content. The pay rate is abysmal. Pennies. Yeah. And because I did several tests on this. I posted 10 shorts, one a day for 10 days. I got 30 million views and a bunch of subs, but like 10% of them were US based. It was India and South America. And this was before they kind of broke out the analytics on YouTube for shorts and long form. Mm-hmm. So it completely demolished my analytics. So when sponsors would look, it's like, this guy's main core audience is 17% India and 10% US. Why would we ever advertise with him? Right. So it took me a while to kind of flip those. And I recently posted some more shorts just to see. And again, it was all the wrong audience. And I see people who are building their whole channel on shorts, which could work because I know some companies are advertising on shorts. Not so many in our woodworking space. Right. Maybe in like the DIY more so. But I've just found it submarines my channel by doing shorts on YouTube. As much as they want, I don't really have a problem getting views. You get a flop and then a good one and a flop and a good one, but there's just no money. And it's just like TikTok. You can post it's massive following over there, but I've made in 2.5 years, I've made $300.
Oh, wow.
So is that a lot? I don't know.
No, I don't know. I don't monetize on TikTok. Okay. I just had Woodwork. I had Anil and Sam on, and they're big on TikTok. And so that's how they kind of grew their business. But it's more to drive the actual business rather than like the sponsors and stuff like that.
Right. It's just for me, it's another platform where when a sponsor looks and say, hey, you know what? How about a 60 to 90 second ad integration on YouTube? I'll throw in a TikTok for, I don't know, whatever, this amount.
Right.
You know, so it's just like an addition if they want to. They can give them kind of an a la carte
It's the dessert
option. Yeah.
You want dessert with that? Sure.
You want a little, it's a 20% off coupon on a reel, and I did that recently I did a YouTube video. I'm like, you know what? I'll throw in an IG reel for this much, and they'll jump on it. Mm-hmm. I've yet to have someone jump on a TikTok add-on though.
Yeah. So when you say $300, that's including those little a la cartes, or is that just
no.
from?
Yeah,
that's
it's
just from
just
TikTok?
the creator fund or whatever.
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, that's.
And I just, and they're very secretive about pay rate over there. Whereas, on YouTube, it's pretty transparent. It'll show you're making 5 cents 1,000 views. And on Facebook, if you're doing in-stream ads, you get, a CPM just like YouTube. And YouTube is obviously shows exactly what you're making.
Right.
And TikTok, they're like, we'll just distribute stuff around and it's at our discretion.
Right. Yeah. I had stopped posting regularly on Instagram probably 2 months before they stopped the Reels bonus. And because I could kind of see the writing on the wall, and it was also burning me out. And then I was just consuming a lot of just junk. It was uninspiring. And so it started killing my creativity. And then I saw the potential for YouTube, other people who have been successful on YouTube. And I was like, I think search-based content is where it's at. Because on Instagram, your posts are dead after 2 weeks, for the most part. Mm-hmm. And, you could repost the same thing a month later and nobody's even going to know.
Right. Yeah. Especially on Facebook, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I would post like multiple in the same week. Like it doesn't matter over there. It's just a different audience.
Yeah.
But you're right. You get kind of burnt out from posting all that. And at some point, you're like, what am I really doing this? Because anytime someone asks, how do I gain more followers? I'm like, all right, well, why? What do you want them? Are you trying to promote your business? Are you trying to gain more customers? Because I get very few customers from Instagram. People who are watching my content are usually other woodworkers.
Right. Yeah.
And it's, you mentioned being inspired. Like that's why I used to go to Instagram, to be inspired by people who are way better than me, showing me things I don't know how to do, or design ideas, how to be more creative. And now I feel like I'm just flipping through a music video.
Right.
And I blame that on the platform for just giving, by giving everybody, and I'm not saying they shouldn't have given everybody, but by opening up these Reels bonuses, they made everybody think they're a content creator. And it's pretty evident they're not. And so what happens is it's totally diluted the entire platform. And it made guys who were making good content, educational content, informative content, just leave. Like this is, this is just nonsense.
Right.
And, they were realizing the time they were spending creating that content, they just weren't getting anything from it, because the only thing that would go viral are these stupid dance videos or nonsense skits. And so it's just sad. I don't scroll through my feed often, but I was today. I'm like, nope, like nothing. I feel like I get a lot more by watching people's stories. Then I can really hone in on the content I want to see, people behind the scenes, what they're building, and really learn things, because that's where they're going to show you tips and tricks and what they're doing and why. So I used to be the other way. I would never watch stories and always focus on my in-feed, but now it's the opposite. And I find I get more inspiration from my, the Explore page?
Oh, right.
Where it's showing you a bunch of different things from all over the world. Like I find I get more inspiration from there than my actual feed.
Yeah, I think that's very similar to YouTube, right? When you go to the homepage and they're tailoring the content to things that you like, or that will inspire you or whatever.
Right.
But very few people, I think, use that Explore page.
I didn't used to either, but yeah, and I remember people telling me, yeah, I go to that. I found you on the Explorer page. I'm like, Explorer page? Who goes to that? But now that's kind of all I do. And it's funny because YouTube, I'm on the platform, obviously I post it, but I don't watch much YouTube. I just don't have the time. And if I go there, it's to research like a specific topic or a specific process or joinery method or whatever to see how other people do it. Mm-hmm. I don't just go and randomly watch half-hour videos.
Right. Yeah.
So anytime someone watches my content that's 44 minutes long, I'm just like, wow. How do you get so much spare time?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How's your average view duration stuff on?
It's pretty good. The problem is click-through rate. I think once people click, my average view duration's anywhere between 35 and 45%, which is I'm very happy with. It's just getting them to click. So there's there seems to be a paradigm shift over there as far as what is working for titles and thumbnails that is different now. So I'm trying to adapt. And it's difficult because you have to be kind of creative on titles and not clickbaity, but clickbaity.
Right. I think the Mr. Beast face is going away now. The surprise face. I think people are kind of over it. Is kind of what I've been listening to. I listen to Colin Smear podcast, and they talk a lot about that kind of stuff. And
I think you need to create, and this is in talking to guys like Drew Witt at Woodworks and Lincoln Street, John at Lincoln Street Woodworks and Suman, is you have to create some sort of mystery with your thumbnail and title to make people want to click, but you have to deliver on that mystery. You can't just let me click this, and you don't even mention what you said in the title until the very end.
Yeah.
That's clickbait. And that's what I want to do. I want to entice people to click and then deliver, 110%, under promise, but over deliver. It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. Because you really need to have a few thumbnails in your holster ready to go if one doesn't work, and a few different titles. And sometimes I'm like, Jason at Bourbon Moth, where we're like, I'm making that thumbnail sometimes as it's uploading. I don't, that's the last thing I'm doing, but I need to refocus. It needs to be kind of towards the beginning, thinking about it. That way I can take in-process shots or whatever I think might be a possible candidate during the build. It's tough. I gotta change my way of thinking.
Well, I think with build videos, it's a little bit different. I think you go into it knowing kind of what the process is going to look like, but then something happens along the way. Yes. And I think that's what you capitalize on, right? So
exactly,
the fail or something like that. Did I ruin this project? Or like you had one that was like, did I waste 100 hours on something,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. That's exactly it. You need the hook to get people. And people love seeing you make mistakes and fix them. Which
Isn't that funny?
I do a lot of.
Yeah.
I think
people love watching us screw up.
They do. They want to relate to you and see how you fixed it, because they may have made the same mistake. So let's see how this person goes through the process of either fixing it or just scrapping it altogether. So it's just as valuable as seeing. I think it's more valuable than just watching someone go right through a project with no mistakes and no problems, and it's not, it doesn't work. It's not like you're following an instruction manual when you build a piece of furniture, unless you buy a set of plans and go from there. But even then, you encounter problems, material issues, and you cut something the wrong length, you read the tape measure wrong, and or you got a knot here that doesn't work, and so. There's a variety. I'd love to do a video just on common mistakes and how to fix them, but I feel like every mistake I encounter is so unique and specific to each project.
Fisher used to do a whole video on his fails or something like that, I think. And so he's I don't know where he's been lately, but
I think he
used to do
something
some stuff
last week or something.
Did he? Okay.
I saw, again, I don't really... Sometimes, if I see my my homepage, I'll see something like that.
In your spare time.
Right.
So you had a full-time job before this. When did all that happen? When did you go full-time, and what's that process?
So in 2020, so 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, January 2021 is when it went official full time, and it was because I got laid off from my day job in 2020.
COVID stuff.
Yes,
Yep.
it was the.
I'm sorry, we can't say the word.
We were kind of already on the decline, our division, and then COVID just really submarined it. So I said it again. It wasn't completely unexpected.
Yeah.
We all kind of saw the writing on the wall for some time. And luckily for me, I had been, woodworking and building furniture for years on the side, and had built up my YouTube channel and Instagram, and I was working with sponsors already. So I had always said, if I ever get laid off, then I'm going to give it a go, because otherwise I don't like change, and I like security. And when you have a paying job that pays you every week, you have a 401k, you have benefits, it's very difficult to just walk away from that. And, after a career, 20-something years, I certainly wasn't ready to do that. So this kind of forced me to do it. Well, not forced me, but it forced me to make a decision.
Right.
Do I look for another job in what I'm doing, or take this full time? I said, if I don't do this now, then I probably never will have the chutzpah to do it. So it's worked out so far. Last year was a good year. The first year was not as good, as I was learning and trying to figure out which direction to take my business, and which is a constant work in progress, as anybody knows who leaves a day job and realizes, it's that whole line, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, is just absolute horse pucky, because it's all work.
Liars. Okay, they're all liars.
Yeah, you may like I like a lot of it, but some of it I can't stand.
Yeah.
Because it's, especially when you're in the content game with dealing with even if you're a guy who cannot, and you're able to eliminate commissions and strictly build what you want because you get a ton of views and you have sponsor spots, you still have clients, and those clients are your sponsors. You still have to deliver what they want, what they're asking for on the ad spots themselves. It's not like you film an ad spot and they approve it immediately. I've had some that they come back with 3 changes and fix this, refilm that, do this, do that. And so you still have to please people. So it's, I don't know if I'll ever get to the point where I'm not taking any commissions, because I've said this before, like, I like the challenge of commissions because they present projects sometimes that I wouldn't think of on my own.
Right.
And I feel like if I was just left to build whatever I want, whenever I want, I wouldn't get much done. Like, I need those timelines and to push me.
It's hard to get out of that corporate mindset too, probably, right? You have those deadlines you've got to meet. Yeah. So that drives you. I'm the same way. Yeah.
It really
I don't
is.
think I'd give up. I don't think I'd give up the commission stuff.
Like, you have to be very, not only motivated, but disciplined to just do everything on your own with no commission work driving it, and just come up with, and I'm not really a creative guy. So to come up with, even if I was doing 2 videos a month, to come up with 24 different furniture builds or projects, and that's a lot.
Right.
Like, I mean, we don't really need much more in this house. I have a few things to do, but not 20. And then what do you do after the next, for the next year? 24 more. Whew.
Well, and the great thing about those commission builds is they're paying for the material at least,
Sure.
And so, so you've also got that piece of it, I guess, too.
Well,
You're not having to buy your own walnut.
Right. They pay for that. And it, with every project, I try to use a new technique or a new process to constantly be learning. So even if the job doesn't call for it, I've never tried this joint before, I'm going to do it on this project. So it's almost like going to school a little bit on each, and you're able to do that because you're getting paid at the same time. Yes, it takes longer. All of those things. Yes, you might screw up and you have to buy more material. But for me, that's the rewarding part. If I was just to build something and quickly get it done and shove it out the door, and all of a sudden I'm like, what just happened? What did I just build? And I didn't enjoy the process or learn anything, then there's zero value there for me.
Yeah. Yeah, building the same type of thing over and over. Like, I love doing cabinets and built-ins and stuff like that, which I've seen some of your work in that space, and you do fantastic work.
Thanks.
And I love doing that kind of work. But then, like every client wanted white cabinets. And so I'm like so tired of building white cabinets, and finally I had one that came along and was like, I want color. And I was like, you are my favorite client.
I'm going to give this to you for free.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if I was making good money on YouTube, I might.
Yeah. Well, and I love doing cabinets and built-ins as well. And, if I don't expect people to watch every cabinet video I've done step by step, but you'll notice I do every one differently. So
Right.
I'm always like trying to find, and if you work with a regular cabinet maker, my buddy Kevin at Fine Point Cabinetry, I've worked a lot with him in his shop, and he has a method, which I've picked up a lot of stuff. And most guys who all they do is build cabinets, they have a system down.
Right.
I don't. I do things differently every time, and mostly because I forget what I did the last time, but it's also because I'm in that the quest for the holy grail of how to assemble these and build them the easiest way. I haven't found it yet.
Now,
really.
now hold on a second. You said build the easiest way, but I've seen your videos. You don't build things the easiest way.
Yeah, I don't know what I was saying there. You're right. I find the most difficult way just to annoy people. Just so they can say, what a waste of time. Just brad nail it and fill the nail holes.
Flathead screws.
Yeah. Why not? Drywall screws.
Yeah, you've had a few of your recent videos with some like really intense aspects to it. Whether that be trying to run the power through these curved legs or oval shaped legs, or like all that kind of stuff. What inspires that type of creativity? Are you trying to model after something? Are you just coming up with a weird idea?
I love curved work.
Yeah.
Like, for as much as I love square corners and keeping things, like, because I'm working on a couple live edge projects right now, and it's so annoying because of the organic, like, I'm such a straight line guy. I'm like, the organicness of it, I have a difficult, like, I would be a horrible sculptor, like working with unrefined shapes. But curved work, when you're talking about bent lamination or steam bending, and the softness of curves, I really like that look. And because it is it's labor intensive, it's process oriented, it challenges me, it challenges my brain, and it really inspires me. So there's so many different ways to do curved work, like the leg you were just talking about. In my head, I was like, I'm going to build this router sled that's matches the profile of this, and I'll go around. It'll be so cool. And I was like, man, by the time I build this jig and then it doesn't work or something happens, all that time would have been wasted. And so since I had built that leg before, I kind of knew what worked best for me. But in this case, I had to like fit in a hidden access panel to match the grain and everything. So that was a challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah, the curved work, I really want to keep exploring that and doing different shapes. I would like to do some curved shelves for our house here, just some, whether it be steam bending or bent lamination or kerf bending.
Yeah.
Because I've just done so many square things in the past, the softness and organicness of that just lends itself nicely to the eye.
Right.
Despite the fact I just said I'm not good at making organic shapes, I feel like
I have curved shelves in my house, but that's just because they're old and saggy.
And Home Depot pine.
Yeah.
They come that way.
Yes. Someday I'll get to them. But, commission builds come first, right?
Sure. Yeah. The money, hey, pays the bills.
Yeah. So I'm looking at your YouTube, and you've got, let's see, the #1 video, walnut coffee table. Still going strong. Bent wood, lamination, console. Yeah. So a lot of it is your furniture stuff.
Right.
That seems to be doing the best.
And those were the early videos that got in the millions, the kind of really accelerated my subscriber base. Unfortunately, a lot of those views were third world countries, India, South America, and things. So I didn't make a lot of money on them on AdSense because of the demographics. But I feel like I'm very proud of those projects, especially the bentwood table. That coffee table, it took a great thumbnail. Like, it took wonderful pictures for that. It just happened to be the backdrop that it was in, and the marble top and the walnut. Like, it was just a really nice thumbnail, which is kind of what I attribute the success of that one to.
Yeah.
So
the good thumbnail is
you
could have the best video in the world. If nobody's going to click on it, you're never going to get those views.
And I think it used to be like the thumbnail key was finished picture of what you're building and a title of what it is. But now, you kind of giving away, you're lifting up the skirt too early if you're showing the finished product, apparently.
Right.
I don't know. But that's always what's worked for me in the past. So it's a struggle for me to not do that.
Yeah.
But
it seems to be
trying
working.
to adapt.
Yeah. I mean, it's still getting a good number of views on it, going strong. So does that drive any of your, I mean, do you have commission builds on a regular basis, right? So I guess your videos are based around how those projects come up, or are you trying to pick projects to suit the channel better?
That's a great question. And ideally, my goal is to take commissions that will make good content.
Yeah.
I typically don't want a dining room table unless it's like a really funky, out of the world base. And like these I'm working on 3 at once right now. I have a live edge maple conference table that's just the top. The client is providing the base. And then a matching 12-foot maple live edge countertop that's going on cabinets that are already installed. So super boring.
Right.
But the hook on this one is I got approval on the conference table. I give him a price and got approval on it. And then I said, all right, well, here are 2 matching slabs that I can get to match the table. And he's like, great, let's go with it. Just get me a price. So those were in motion. My slab supplier was working them. They were cutting them and flattening them and getting everything ready. And he finally got the quote on the countertop and it's like, it's too much money. I don't want to do it. I'm like, I already paid for these.
Right.
So I kind of had to, I'm not even really breaking even on that. So like that's the hook for the video is never buy materials unless you have a deposit or a purchase order or whatever.
Right.
But I knew he needed these fast. So I was trying to move things along as quickly as possible, thinking that he was just going to go for the price. And when he didn't, I was kind of stuck.
Right.
So otherwise, I wasn't even going to film these builds for YouTube because it's so boring. But I feel like this is a good business lesson for a lot of people. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a good business lesson for a lot of people, and it gives them a chance to tell me how stupid I am for buying everything and without an approval first.
I think Cam with Blacktail Studio has some videos out there like that, and they're bangers.
Yeah,
so,
right.
There's something there.
Yeah, but he's dropping $30,000. It's a little more.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think it's a good lesson for, as we talked about at the top, was people who may be quitting their day jobs and going to into business for themselves, and we inherently think people are good, right? We think, all right, they approve this, they're going to pay me. And then at the end, they pick it apart and they don't want to pay you or whatever the case may be. So without taking a deposit up front for at least 50%, which is usually what I take, to cover materials and any initial labor to go get it and any design time and the emails back and forth, all this takes time. You want to be covered in the eventuality where they back out.
Right.
So it's, I think people who have a side hustle and then want to go full time sometimes face that harsh reality real quick.
Right.
That oh boy, I don't have my day jobs to subsidize my screw ups.
Right. Yeah.
So every dollar counts, and you have to be diligent, and it's not easy because I'm just too nice sometimes.
Yeah. Well, there's something freeing about having that full-time job to support the side hustle business. You don't have that pressure on the side hustle business. Like if you don't get a job that month, you don't get a job that month. Or if you need a tool, you just go out and buy the tool. And I think people underestimate that value, and, everybody wants to have the dream, live the dream, go full time. But I'm like you, they got to kick me out.
Right. Well, and the thing is, I used to when I had a full-time job, I would take commissions and I would price them lower if I wanted the job and I thought it would make good content or whatever to get the job, because I knew they may have had a budget that was lower than what I would be charging.
The IKEA budget.
Yeah. And the problem with that I'm running into with a couple clients is I had built stuff for them previously when I had the day job and I gave them good pricing. And now they're coming to me with new projects and my pricing is super high, or what they think is high. And they're not going for it. Right. Which is fine, because it's not, listen, I mean, I have a backlog right now, like through the summer, but it's not like I'm getting 5-6 different requests a day or even a week for commissions that I'm just batting away. So, right. But the pricing, everyone struggles with pricing. We all do. Because if you were to break down the hourly rate of how many hours you put into a project, you'd better off go working at Walmart. Even like Phil Morley had told me and a couple of people before that you really can't, when you're building unique studio pieces that have never been done before, and you're really basing the pricing on what you think it will take or how long it will take based on previous projects, you always underestimate. It's just impossible. And if you were to charge by the hour, no one's ever going to buy it. Right. So it's unfortunate, but when you don't get paid by the hour like a regular hourly worker, if you broke it down at the end of every project how much you made per hour, you'd just never get out of the fetal position. You'd be in tears all the time. Like, what am I doing with my life? Right. So you try to take away getting paid, gaining experience, and hopefully in the next one it'll be faster. You can make more money and so on and so forth. But again, when you're building a different piece every time, that's difficult. But I don't want to build the same piece over and over and over and over.
Yeah. Well, sometimes are you taking on a little bit of an easier job to help? Or are you at the point now where you don't necessarily have to do that?
This conference table and that countertop were supposed to be easy fill-in work. Yeah. Which they are, but the problem is they're too big for my shop. So I've been in my buddy Tim and Mike's shop in town for the last week and a half, like taking over. Luckily, they've been very gracious and accommodating, but it's stressful for me that I'm like, am I in the way? Am I bothering these guys? It's right. And I'm used to being home all day. They're not like
Jason, just standing around drinking coffee while you're working.
Right. Coffee and bourbon, kicking back, watching Seinfeld. So it's difficult asking, listen, I've worked in my friends' shops for a day or two or whatever, but for a week and a half, it's going to be in there for the rest of the week while I finish they're flattening stuff on the CNC for me and getting paid for that. They're going to be spraying these countertops and table for me, getting paid for that. And they're going to help me install, deliver. So, I mean, they're definitely getting money out of it, but it's also a huge favor that they're doing for me.
Yeah. Wait till they see you bringing in your table saw and joiner.
I know. I start bringing Lola and Jerry to work with me. You got room for 2 cats and a litter box in here?
I brought donuts.
Just smooth things over.
Right, yeah. I mean, if you're going to impose, right, at least bring donuts.
It's usually donuts and pizza will smooth over any situation, generally. And coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm running late to work, I'm stopping to pick up some breakfast tacos.
Actually, bagels and cream cheese would be a good idea.
There you go.
Yeah. just everything, all the carbs and sugar you can bring.
Right.
Yeah.
And the bourbon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bourbon beer.
So I mentioned earlier you're doing like some animations and things like that, like your logo and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
What program are you using? Are you using DaVinci or are you using Adobe?
So for the logo stuff, I found somebody on Fiverr, or no, there was someone on Instagram. I'm sorry. Oh boy, Richard Engstrom. Oh, I hope I'm getting that name right. But for like the little total boat thing where I have me on a boat going across the screen, yeah, I did that myself like total a transparent. Boat, that's the one. Like a transparent PNG, and you can drop it in Final Cut, and I forget even how I did it, you make a motion, some kind of thing in there. So yeah, it's nothing complicated like that. And any green screen stuff, it can all be done. Like Jason, Bourbon Moth, he does everything in InShot on his iPad. So I use InShot a lot too for videos. It has a great green screen feature, but you can do it in Final Cut Pro too. So I would love to incorporate more kind of graphics and cool stuff, but in the end, it doesn't really matter.
Right. Yeah.
It's
all about the build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously I film everything on my iPhone. And right now I'm in serious considerations. I've been talking with Nick Sawyer and Michael Alm and like, should I get a camera?
Yeah.
Because I would like my ad spots to look a little bit better, like they weren't filmed on the phone. And possibly transition into having better looking footage. But in the end, is it really worth, $3,000 and whatever lenses cost and all of this, and versus just on your phone where I can film something and just quickly edit a reel or whatever, an InShot. And I don't know. I don't think, Jason is one that is proven you can do anything on your phone and have almost 1 million subscribers. It's really about the content and who you are, not about and the audio quality is huge. Yeah. But an iPhone at 1080p, it's just all you need. It looks fine. More than fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I did find that when I was using cinematic mode, it would cut the blurriness at weird spots and things like that. So I use a camera. I know if you're talking to Nick Sawyer, he's going to tell you to get a camera.
Yeah. He wants me to get a Sony.
He's got all the gear.
Yeah. He's a total gear.
He's recently got me to switch over to DaVinci, and I have this speed editor that he told me about. This thing is amazing for editing videos.
Interesting.
And it's got the wheel on it, and you can if you're not watching on YouTube, go to YouTube and watch it. But so this is you can spin the wheel and go through your footage. So you've got like your source tape and your timeline thing. So you can go between your source and your timeline. So as you're going through, like I'll lay the A-roll down and easy cut between something I want to cut out or whatever. I just drop it down on the timeline. And so I can edit a video like 10 times faster now. And I've been doing it for a week. So it's just crazy.
What were you editing with before?
I was using Premiere Pro.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pick it like the learning curve on DaVinci is pretty. Yeah. It's not as steep. For me, Premiere Pro is impossible.
Yeah.
Versus Final Cut Pro. But I've heard a lot of people are switching to DaVinci.
A lot of people are. And I've been watching, there's a couple guys, if you ever get interested in it, there's a couple guys that I follow that really break it down into consumable bite-sized pieces. So you're not having to, it's easy to follow their methodology. And so I did my first podcast episode last week with it. And the learning curve took me 10 times longer, but I can tell by what I was doing, in the end, it's going to be 10 times faster.
Okay.
Now that I know the basis.
Now, is that a web-based program, or are you downloading it's native on your machine?
It's native, so they have the free version. You can download the free version and play with it, and it has most of the functionality that you need. But then the studio version is $295. But what Nick was telling me is this. This is why I got this. The speed editor is $395, but it comes with a license to the studio. So basically, you're paying $100 for the editor.
And that's a lifetime license or yearly?
Lifetime.
Okay.
Yeah. So, for $395, you got lifetime upgrades. They just they're integrating AI in it now and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be great. Just speeding up my process. For the podcast mainly is why I got it, but I'm also trying to do a push on YouTube.
Okay.
We'll see. I don't have 273,000 YouTube subscribers like you do, but
right. I paid dearly for those people. Yeah, I mean, I like Final Cut Pro because I used to use iMovie, and then graduating to Final Cut was just natural. It was just pretty. It was nothing. It has way more options, which is what I wanted. Like as far as sharpening and color grading. But there are some quirks about it and things. The hardest thing is file management, really.
Right. Yeah. Final Cut eats up a lot of the computer space, I found.
It does. I mean, I recently bought a Mac Studio.
Okay, that's what I've got now.
So it's, it is fast, but again, even with a steady state drive, I have, what did I buy? A 16 terabyte steady state auxiliary hard drive. Wow. Because I was working off of just a regular external hard drive, and it couldn't pull information off there fast enough. So meaning I bought this $6,000 computer, and it was just as slow or just as like my iMac. There was zero performance increase. And then I bought that steady state drive, and that's why. It needs to be pulling that in because I store everything on there, and I have, stuff that you use all the time.
Right.
Like you said, your logo and all these other things that are stored there. And before it was trying to pull it off this little 5 terabyte hard drive, and you could hear it, moving and like these steady state drives they don't make a sound. Mm-hmm. They're so quiet and fast, but it's frustrating because if you're an Adobe guy, like everything lags. Photoshop, you get the spinning wheel of death. Illustrator, all the time, and it's even Acrobat, even SketchUp crashes all the time on this machine. Yeah, it's these web-based, cloud-based apps.
Right.
Like anything native is fine.
Yeah.
But so it's just frustrating. You spend all this money on this machine and you still get the same problems.
Yeah, doing the podcast edit, that's gonna do you guys just leave it kind of, I mean, other than putting in the beeps and stuff like that, do you you just kind of let it roll, or are you doing like pretty serious editing on it?
No, I was in the beginning when I first started, because like you and I talked about at the beginning of the show, when you record, there's like 2 frequencies. It's like 44.1 hertz or 48. And when I was bringing them in, they were coming in each at a different one. So by the end of the podcast, they were out of sync.
Right.
So going in, cutting all the audio up and syncing it up. And also Jason records through Cloudlifter thing into an Evo something. And when he does that, when we were recording locally, because we recorded QuickTime and then I would combine the tracks, it only records stereo, which is 1 ear. Mono is actually 2 ears. So I would have to take his audio, bring it into Audacity or one of these other... Audition, add that ear back, and then bring it in, and then splice everything up, add intro and outro and the beeps and all this stuff. It was a nightmare.
Right.
And I was trying to, because Adobe has this AI voice enhancer now. It's still in the beta.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
But it is. It only takes files up to 500 megabytes.
Up to an hour.
Yeah. And ours are longer than that, and the file size is bigger. So I would chop them up into multiple pieces, run them through there, bring them back in, piece them together, and finally I'm like, forget this. It's just, so we tried Zencastr, and now we're doing what you're using with Riverside, and the audio quality is great. It kind of almost has like a built-in AI sort of to fix all your levels and it sounds good. So,
Right.
and everything's just going to keep getting better, right? With this AI technology, with the video and the audio, and it's scary.
I had Brad Rodriguez on, and we started talking about AI, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean, you don't even really need me. You could just record a podcast with Brad Rodriguez, and would automatically, build in the jokes or whatever."
Oh my God! I think I just saw, because I'm a big follower of F1 racing, and Michael Schumacher, one of the greatest racers of all time. He was in the skiing accident. He's been kind of in a coma or a vegetable for years. And somehow they just published like this AI interview with him.
Oh, wow.
That the family is like up in arms about. But they created this whole false interview using AI. It's insane.
There's a Tom Brady one going around. Tom Brady does comedy or whatever. It's very offensive. I could only make like 2 minutes into it, and I was like, okay, I'm over it. But they don't build in the natural like breaths and things like that, so you can still tell that it's his voice. Like it's just so strange.
Holy cow!
Yeah. So he put out a cease and desist on that whole thing, because it's like I don't recommend anybody go check that out.
Well, and they're going to be able to use your likeness, take a picture of your head, put it on someone else's body, and do all kinds of crazy things. And I don't know. I feel like it's not that I feel like it is. It's just in such its infancy right now. And
Well, pretty soon on your channel, you just be able to eat cheese balls and say, Keith Johnson, build a table. Make sure you incorporate LaMelo or whatever.
Well, I've been using the Chat GPT AI to kind of come up with alternative video titles and things like that, which is super helpful.
Right.
But you could also say, write a story about this and this and this, and it will write I feel like a lot of books are going to be written by AI. It's not even going to be a human author behind it.
Yeah.
And I think Dan over at another Woodshop podcast, Daniel Dunlap, said, whenever you're using AI right now, it's the dumbest it's ever been, because it's only getting smarter every minute.
Isn't that crazy?
And, I wish I was like that.
Right?
I keep getting dumber.
Yeah, I'm the smartest that I've ever been right now.
That's it.
But I'm not as smart as I was yesterday. How does that work?
How does that work? Either way, it's all cognitive decline from here.
So I would like to talk to you about some of your brand stuff, working with LaMelo and Total Boat and stuff like that. Or maybe we can save some of that for the after show. But I'd like to know, in your portfolio, essentially, because everybody's got to diversify, right? You've got your AdSense, you've got affiliate sales and stuff like that. Is LaMelo like an affiliate type thing for you? Because you do a lot with them, right?
So LaMelo, I am actually a dealer. I am the only standalone dealer in the country. Okay. So you can order directly through me. I place the order through our distributor, Colonial Saw in Massachusetts, and then they drop ship it from there. The way that came about was Chris Hoffman, who's the kind of national sales manager, reached out to me on Instagram and said, hey, I'd love to come by your shop and kind of give you a demo of the LaMelo Zeta P2. I said, okay, great. So he came in and lent me a machine for a while. And he's like, with your following, you could probably do pretty well as a salesman on this and commission. I was like, I don't really have time for that. And, because my record for affiliate sales is pretty abysmal. So I'm like, I don't really want to have it,
It's definitely hit or miss on those.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that was, then about, I forget how long later, probably 7 or 8 months later, because I started using it in videos and people were asking about it. I was like, you know what, maybe I'll give this a try. So we signed an agreement to become a dealer. And the last year was fantastic.
Yeah.
lot of sales. You know, the commissions, the way they work, it's a little funky for me because whether someone uses PayPal or Venmo or a credit card to pay, I got to pay 3% on that, right? And then when you buy a machine, shipping is free. And then after that, if they're just buying connectors and consumables, I can't charge them the full shipping amount that I get charged because they wouldn't buy through me. They would just go to an online retailer where it's free shipping. So I make concessions there, so I have to take a little bit of a hit. But all in all, like sales keep coming in, people keep referring other people to me to buy, and I get, the connectors and everything else. So it's been great. And the people at Lamello are fantastic. I'm actually going to Lamello headquarters in Switzerland this summer.
Oh, wow. Nice.
With Matt Moore and another Finnish carpenter out of Boston, Sean Kelly. So we're going over there to tour the facility. We're doing like a little, I don't know if it's like a build-off for a couple days. Cool. So we're going to turn it into a vacation. My wife's going to come out there at the end, and we're going to just pay to stay for a few extra days. But it's been a great experience for me, and like you mentioned, another stream of revenue.
Right.
Because this year Pony Jorgensen dropped out. They were using an outside company for their ambassador program and sponsor program, and they brought it in-house, and they're still not sure what they want to do. So I'm out. So that money's just gone. So you got to make up for it. Facebook Reels was a huge moneymaker for me last year. Gone.
Right.
So you got to backfill, and like we're just affiliate sales for me. Forget it. I couldn't feed my cats for a week on what I make in affiliate sales or merch. I gave up kind of selling merch a long time ago. I have a Teespring store, but I used to keep inventory and do mugs and all, but it just wasn't enough to move the needle.
Does Lola have an Instagram account? Can she get a Friskies?
Jerry and Lola have an Instagram account.
Okay.
But what I actually reached out to, the litter that I used, I reached out to them on Instagram, and they got right back to me, I think because they saw my following was big. And they gave me the number or the email address for the marketing department who I reached out to, but I didn't hear back. So I may have to follow up.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that would be a home run. They're like have become such a hit with my subscribers on YouTube that they're in every video. And so it helps. Like I get a lot of comments from people. My kids love watching the videos because they see Jerry and Lola, and so it's nice. It'd be nice to actually capitalize.
Right. Yeah. This episode brought to you by Friskies.
By Pretty Litter. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be proud to admit that. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I love having sponsors in the video of stuff I use. Right. Because you're not really going to get, a woodworking company isn't going to sponsor your YouTube video. They're not going to spend the money that these other companies are.
Right.
So, sometimes you take an ad spot because you need the money. Yeah. You're not really necessarily on board with the product, but, listen, we all have to make a living. We all sell out in one way or another at some point. Yeah. And, it's not like we're selling things that are killing the environment or anything. I'm not selling nuclear waste barrels or anything like that.
Yeah. This brought to you by used Tesla batteries.
Right. Yeah, you can buy 1 square foot of landfill out in the middle of Nebraska to store these used batteries. But there has been some cases where people have taken ad spots, through their agencies too, and they've turned out to be fraudulent, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, there was I can't remember the name of it, but there was some celebrities that endorsed something, and there was some issue with it being fraudulent, and they were suing the celebrities.
Oh, for endorsing it.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, because I follow, so-and-so, and they said it was a great product, and they never used it, and then, found out it's fraudulent, and so they were suing the celebrities. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, it's crazy. Got to be careful.
Yeah, I feel like because I've done a couple where it's not like like explaining what it is. I don't feel like, it comes across as an endorsement, but it's not an official endorsement. Like I've used this product or I've tried this.
Right.
So there is a little bit of a gray area there. Some moral ground to tread on, but you're not forcing people to to buy anything. You're not, it's all, you have free will. You can do what you want. I'm just presenting like, here's an option. This is something that's out there and available. Well, unless it's fraudulent, then it's not available.
Yeah. There's a game that I haven't played with guests in a while. Sometimes we do games on this podcast, and I haven't done that for a while. So I think I'll take that over to the after show.
Ooh. All right.
Yeah, it's called Rapid
Can I hitch a ride with you? Because what's it called?
Rapid Fire.
Oh, gosh. Hot seat.
Yep, hot seat.
All right. Can you give me the questions ahead of time so I can prepare?
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, you can catch up on it on your ride in.
Okay.
Well, let me say thank you to Surf Prep for sponsoring this episode. Head over to surfprep.com and enter code MakerLounge for 10% off any of their products there. So thank you to Surf Prep. Also, thank you to our patrons. We've got a number of top tier patrons that I like to shout out. We've got Jimmy McAnally, Artigiano Serio, Wimm Design, Calvary Customs LLC, Cleancut Woodworking, Bailey Thompson, Dave Garcia, Broken Lead Woodworks, Stark's Lagoon, Sawyer Design, Kodama Design, Dylan Furniture, and Shock the Fox. Ooh. If you want to be a patron, head over to patreon.com/MakerLoungePodcast. Keith, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
We'll catch you over in the after show.
All right.